Welcome to part 2 of this ridiculous look of too many Myst releases. Now before I resume where I left off, I should make a few corrections and clarifications. If I sound notably different, it's because I got a new microphone, which might not be a wise change for a two-part video, but this was my best chance to test out a new mic. The version of HyperCard used by the original Mac release is not quite vanilla HyperCard. It has plugins for color and other bits of functionality. I will admit to using Kevin O'Leary as a punching bag. It's a little reductive to blame bad business moves on a single person. On the other hand, the biography on his website brags about a computer software giant that was acquired for more than $4 billion. I think we know which one, and how badly it went. Screw you, Kevin. Now finally, observations about the Myst footage I didn't notice until I put them on the timeline. While I said the Windows 3.1 and Masterpiece Edition had the same sound quality, I then noticed a notable improvement in the latter in some areas. The Mac Masterpiece Edition has a slight downgrade in image quality. I guess it just needed more JPEG. The weirdest thing I noticed, there is a 1 pixel difference in window size between the Mac, Windows, and Mac Masterpiece Editions. This was odd and it made cropping down to different clips in the video a massive hassle. Alright, onward to the totally uncalled for 3D remake, Real Myst. People, throw out all your old copies of Myst, because this one is real! Somehow. This came 7 years after the original. While that would seem rather soon, it's worth considering how PC game technology was rapidly evolving in those 7 years. I'm not bringing up Doom, I promise. So Myst in real-time 3D seemed practical at this point. This remake was developed by Cyan with some help from Sunsoft. This game was basically an extended test for the proprietary Plasma engine, before Cyan would use it for Uru. The copy I am showing here is of the Mac port, but the captured footage is from the PC version I got from GOG. Now the game has been pulled from digital storefronts for some reason. Oh, okay. I will get the compatibility stuff later, but this game is really prone to crashing with OBS running. Myst in its full real-time glory can go far beyond the limitations of still images and FMV. Now the environment can be brought to life with animations, day-night cycles, weather effects, and the occasional creatures. The ability to navigate in free roaming mode is controversial among fans. I will say it is a notable improvement for the occasional frustrating part to navigate in the older releases. And it's much easier to find the big tree and second fuse box in free roaming, along with some shortcuts for the anarchists out there. It's very surprising to find a game from the year 2000 that still looks very good in parts. There are changes made, some to address the 3D aspects. In really good news, Real Myst has the full soundtrack in high quality and stereo, no cut down versions. I should add how the planetarium theme is slightly different between the original releases and the official soundtrack release. Guess which one Real Myst uses? The stone ship age now has rain, thunder, and crashes. The elevator rotation puzzle, which can be infamous for having a lot of drift, now has breaks in Real Myst. The opening narration has been re-recorded, and they brought back the Channelwood Cirrus video from the Mac original. Finally, a few changes for weird as crap Myst lore. This sounds all fine and dandruff. Oh crap, my mistake. It's just they can only go so far for a remake released in 2000. They still have to make use of some videos from the original, which kind of look out of place. As good as the game looks in many areas, other places are showing their age. Some aggressive level of detail optimizations. Channelwood looks very bare bones and doesn't have a day-night cycle. Solentic has a lot of distance fog and it crashed. Let's do this again and crash. The big issue against the Real Myst is how clunky the interface is. The game defaults to a mouse dead zone, with the left and right mouse button used to walk forward and backward respectively. It's not too bad for single-handed play, just slightly irritating with some interactions. There is the option to disable the dead zone and enable standard WASD controls. Now things get really clunky when interacting with some of the puzzles. The music match puzzle was my most hated in the original, and here they somehow made it worse. And I guess the sword and helmet are missing in the mechanical age for some peculiar reason. Now, all of this is assuming if the game works as it should. At the time of release, Real Myst was criticized for poor performance even on high-end computers. To my surprise, the official Stone Chip demo runs fine on my recent thin-clamped Projekt computer. On my Power Mac G4, oh no, this is poor! Despite the system being a good deal above the minimum requirements. Macs already tend to be screwed when it comes to PC ports, but this is a new low. It is slightly better on my PowerBooks, it's just not great though. I also happen to have a G5, but I can't test on there because it needs new RAM. The Windows version suffers from major compatibility issues on OSs beyond Windows ME, so I'm surprised I was able to play as far as I got. Overall, Real Myst was impressive for its time, but it doesn't hold up to modern standards. It's really difficult for me to recommend this version when it's been pulled from sale on Steam and GOG. With the advent of fully 3D Myst, there was only one direction they could go next. Backwards. Myst 10th Anniversary DVD Edition, a compilation of the first 3 Myst games on a DVD format. Long story short, Mattel Interactive was sold off and split apart. Ubisoft swept in and bought the games division, and now they had the rights to games like Myst and Prince of Persia. The 10th Anniversary package came in 2 forms, the wide box version I have here for bragging rights, and the typical small PC box that was common back then. As far as I know, there isn't anything else beyond the set of games, and this ad for Uru. Now the version of Myst on here is Masterpiece, which shouldn't need the extra DVD space, unless a game publisher chooses to include both the Windows and Mac versions of Masterpiece. Yep. There are separate datasets for Masterpiece between the 2 platforms. Instead of the shared dataset on typical Windows-Mac hybrid media, this has the added benefit of being the easy way to get a copy of Masterpiece for the Mac. For what this version is like, it has a Ubisoft logo. That's it. It's the same game to a point where it's possible to install either the CD or DVD version and swap it out with the other version and it'll still work fine. Now there is one thing I neglected to mention at this point. The original Mac and Windows releases of Myst came with a making of video in low-res Synpack format, complete with one of my favorite sound design anecdotes.
Ah, the most hateful sound. Had to be the bubbles. What you hear are actually bubbles in a toilet. Tried big tubes, little tubes, sticking it way down there, you know, in the part where the trap goes down, and finally got it, but that was the biggest pain.
The DVD version of Myst has an interview with Rand Miller, one of the original creators. The first half talks about the original 3 games, then it's all about Uru, please buy this game. I have a certain feeling that Ubisoft basically tossed its release out of the window. I had a recent discovery that the version of QuickTime included with this version doesn't behave well on Windows 9X, and it breaks the game. Mac users are sadly shafted here. They didn't bother to include an installer, instead they shipped a readme first on how to drag and drop a few files onto the hard drive to install the game. The big one here, no support for Mac OS X. Now Classic Environment was still an option for running old Mac OS 9 programs at the time, if still not ideal, especially when 1, OS X Panther just came out and made Classic behavior a little screwy. 2, Classic was pulled entirely within a few years. Overall, this package is nice, but it's really more for collecting than anything else at this point. Well, okay, it provides an easy way to get a Mac Masterpiece version, but that's it. Onward to the 3rd Masterpiece Edition released by Scion so far. Real Myst Masterpiece Edition— oh come on, this is getting ridiculous. This 2014 release was slightly late for Myst's 20th anniversary, and it's an overhauled version of the Real Myst mobile conversion. I will say up front that the mobile release is quite good, although it's best suited for a tablet. Anyway, off the bat, this release offers the option of classic point-and-click movement like the original, or free roaming. The point-and-click interface is a nice thing to offer, even though the camera animations are kind of whiplashy and awkward. I would prefer it if they used fade transitions like the original. This mode also allows to view classic Myst images for comparison with the Shift key. For the free roaming mode, Thankfully, it's much more in line with modern standards. No more dead zone, just the ability to easily detach and reattach the mouse look with the right mouse button when needed. Visually, Myst has gotten quite an overhaul. While not state-of-the-art for 2014, it looks good in most areas. There is a lot more foliage in some environments now. The Channelwood and Selentic ages have gotten drastic changes in visual style. Jarring, but I don't mind. The Stoneship age has even more rain and water effects. Good for the gamers out there who are obsessed with puddles for some reason. They brought back the Sword and Shield and Mechanical age. And finally, the mysterious music box works now. There's much to like about Real Myst Masterpiece. Then there are the issues due to inconsistency and a lack of polish. The game doesn't run well. I have the grass disabled to improve the performance. Then there are occasional bugs in areas which really stick out. Matters not really helped with how the original live-action FMVs are still used. Now reshooting these scenes is not an option at this point, it just gets more jarring with every release. Now a bunch of armchair developers are quick to blame the game's issues on the use of the Unity engine, which is a dumb scapegoat. Unity is a good engine. Amazing games have been made with it, although those games have had more time and budget than what Real Myst got. I should add this release was in really bad shape when it first came out.
I experienced drop frames, lag, and crashing on a semi-regular basis. Anytime I tried to change my graphics settings, the game crashed. Anytime I tried alt-tabbing, the game crashed. If my prayers to the gods of Myst weren't phrased in the specific way that they desired, the game crashed.
Thankfully, Cyan has patched the game over the years to fix up the major issues. Now this release is a solid way to play Myst for those who don't like clicking on still images. If they fix a tower bug, that's almost a deal breaker. Oh wait, I forgot to mention one thing. Real Myst Masterpiece still has the day-night cycle. While the system in the original Real Myst had a dark purple night, Masterpiece goes even further and has a more realistic lighting style, which looks really nice. Until the realization that it's too dark to see anything, and Cyan knew about that. Myst, now with a flashlight. It works fine, just seems out of place. According to Weird as Crap Myst lore, the game supposedly takes place in the 1800s, which would predate flashlights, and I'm overthinking this. Time to move on. Now there are some things I skipped over due to spoilers, so this will be the spoiler section. For you, the viewer, feel free to skip ahead with the time code on screen. Okay, one moment. Here we go. The original ending with Atris and his unusually warm white balance all play out in a similar fashion in the original releases. In an unusual twist, Mac Masterpiece plays the credits right after linking back to Myst. Now the credits in this version expect the user to click on the mouse to scroll down. Only here it just does nothing until one clicks the mouse button and back to Myst they go. Wonderful job, boys! Now the ending gets quite interesting with Real Myst. The scenes with Atreus have been refilmed. Yep, they are still using FMV. Mostly. The idle clip of him has been replaced by this uncanny 3D model that is, creepy. After returning to the island, what's this? There's another puzzle which reveals a new linking book to this age known as Rhyme. Now Rhyme is a small age with only a few puzzles. It does have its purpose. There's the tech demo side to show off Cyan's plasma engine, and the lore side to connect Myst to its sequel. It's a nice little addition. Real Myst Masterpiece also has the Atris FMVs, Uncanny 3D Model, and Rhyme Age. The latter is in a slightly prettier package. Mostly, I'm not entirely sure what happened here. They might have scaled the effect down for the mobile version, and forgot to scale it back up. End of spoiler section. Bad news! We are not done yet. Many releases of Myst here have had all sorts of compatibility complaints over the years. I can't get any of my copies here to work under Windows 10 without emulation or virtualization. Now Masterpiece Edition has been on sale for quite a while on Steam and GOG, though it's been getting quite a lot of compatibility complaints over the years, since it's just Masterpiece with compatibility tweaks. Not really a long-term solution when QuickTime is still required. I still stand that QuickTime is a pain, made worse when Apple dropped support for it entirely. So there was work to implement the Mohawk engine into ScumVM, the open source adventure game interpreter. In 2016, ScumVM got proper support for running the Windows versions of Myst and Masterpiece Edition, not only allowing for better compatibility on modern systems, but to go beyond to other platforms. There are even backports to OS X on PowerPC for those who are as crazy as I am. Furthermore, Cyan announced the Myst 25th Anniversary Collection on Kickstarter earlier this year. Beyond the novelty value of the Myst book replica with a working screen for those who backed at a certain tier, the goal of the Kickstarter was to update all of the games to make them work out of the box on modern Windows and Mac systems, as well as to secure the rights to Myst 3 and 4. The Kickstarter was a massive success, and Masterpiece Edition was updated on Steam and GOG to replace the aging Mohawk build with ScumVM, now with a proper front end and multiple sounds playing at once. The speed-sensitive issues have been fixed. There's even cloud save support. These are all nice things indeed, even though it's still a masterpiece with many of its PC version trappings. But it's still a solid release with how friendly it is out of the box. It's just we have gone full circle far too many times to count at this point. In conclusion, there are still far too many darn computer versions of Myst. None of them are really ideal, as they all have their own trade-offs and oddities. For a version I would recommend for anyone, can't really go wrong with the two Masterpiece Editions on Steam and GOG. Even though I think game sales are a predatory practice, that's a video for another time, it would be wise to pick up both on a good sale. Maybe play the original Masterpiece Edition first, then use Real Myst Masterpiece for a second playthrough. Now I would like to see the Mac versions get the ScumVM treatment, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. And that's all I have to say for now. Well, almost. There's still a little more with a certain game in particular, but that'll be for another time. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and maybe use that bell icon so I can spam your notifications every few weeks or so. I should add I'm taking a break from Myst for a while because this whole project was very overwhelming. Anyway, I hope to see you next time.